Let's have a look at the scene view. To do this, I'm actually going to change the layout that we're using. I showed you before how you can go to Window and select your layouts. There's another area where you can go and change your layout. If you look on the right-hand side, up the top here, you'll see it says 2x3. If I click on that, I get the same options that I had up there. So I'm actually going to go for tall. Just gives me a little bit more screen real estate to use. So let's go and focus in on the player. Now, if I come in here to the hierarchy panel, I double click that, it will actually focus me on my player. So I do want to have a look at that for this demonstration. Now, what we want to look at is how to navigate around the scene initially. So if we go and have a look on the top left-hand side, you'll see there's a group of buttons up the top here. The first one is a hand. Now, that tool actually allows us to navigate in the scene view. By default, if I click the left-hand mouse button, it allows me to pan around the scene. If I hold down the right-hand mouse button, it gives me what's called a free look, which is basically as if I was standing in the scene and just looking around. Also, if I have a wheel mouse, I can use that to zoom in and out as well. There's another way of using the hand tool as well. If I hold down the Alt button, you'll see that changes the cursor. And if I now go and have a look around, that actually uses what I have selected, the object I have selected, as a pivot and allows me to look around. It's slightly different to the way that the free look works. It's similar in a way. If I change that, if I go to free look now, you'll see the difference. In free look, it's as if I'm standing in there looking around. In this view, it's rotating actually around the point. So my camera, if you like, is rotating around that particular point. If I have option held down and I hold down the right-hand mouse button, it allows me to zoom in and out as well. So that's pretty much doubling up on the way the mouse wheel works. Still on the topic of navigating around the scene view, I just want to have a look at the scene view gizmo up the top right-hand corner here. It's got a number of axes to it. You can see it's, we've got X, Y, and Z basically will be depth. If I go and click on one of these, you'll see what happens. It actually changes my view so that it runs along that particular axis. So if I now click on the Z, so we're looking down the X-axis at the moment. If I click on the Z, we'll be looking down the Z-axis and then the back of the X-axis again. And we come round back to the front. There's also the Y-axis, top and the bottom. So we can go and have a look from the top and we can have a look from the side again, and then back looking from the bottom. So if you need to look at an object or your scene from a particular angle, it's a really easy way to actually to look at those along those different axes. Just a little trick there as well. Now, at the moment, we're looking in a perspective view, which means that in the same way that when you look in the real world with your eyes, things change, it gets smaller the further away they get. It's the same thing with the perspective view, which is what we're looking at the moment. There's also another view called, or style of view called the orthographic view, where things don't change that way. Now, if you want to have a look at an orthographic view, we just come into here, and if we click on this little center part of the gizmo, it actually gives us an orthographic view. That's handy if you want to line things up and you don't want to worry about how far away they are. So it's very good for accuracy. So that's the scene view gizmo. The final thing we want to look at with the scene view is the way that it's rendered. If you look at the top of the scene view itself, on the left-hand side, you'll see it says textured by default. We can also change that to wireframe, which then shows us the polygons that that are used to render, or that are used for the 3D models. And we can see all the individual polys there. We can also look at textured wire, which shows us the textures and the polygons as well. Okay, so that is the scene view.